Hi, I'm Maddie Sasman, and I'm here to talk to you about Brainwave Optimization and how it has helped my life and really just made our family life a lot smoother since I am now feeling much more balanced. So a little backstory. I grew up in a very wonderful home, but mental illness was something that was very prevalent in my family. And some people would say, oh, that was, they wouldn't like that, but I'm actually really grateful for it. It made me very aware of the fact that I needed to take care of my body, and I needed to sleep well and make right choices to be able to support mental health. So growing up, I even into college, I was like, I need to get good sleep. I need to try and eat healthier. And really, I had never gone through anything that had been depression I would go through times that were sad, like when I had a family member pass away, but it wasn't depression. It wasn't something it was the circumstances that were around me. Depression, more as it affects me, it's more of something that's wrong with me. So if I could pinpoint where I started to feel depressed and having anxiety, sleep problems, it would be after the birth of our second child. I have two kids. They are wonderful. They're 18 months apart, and they keep me extremely busy. But after my second was born, we were having a really big family transition. My husband had just lost his mother very unexpectedly. We had newly moved into a house when we had first found out we were pregnant with Declan, and the whole having an 18-month-old and a newborn was a really hard transition for me. And so I started having more gray days than sunny days, and I would get really anxious about my kids. We'd be playing outside on our front lawn, and I would almost have a flash as if the car that was going to come down the street, my daughter was somehow going to magically be from right by my side in the street and she was going to die. Or that I'd put Declan down for a nap and that I'd come back and he wouldn't be alive. So I would have anxiety like that, and then I was very snappy. Just when anything that was really overstimulating, say dinner was cooking and we had the radio or the TV on, and then Olivia would throw a tantrum, and my husband would ask me a question, and I would just snap, and I almost felt like inside my body was just wired, and I felt like I couldn't control what was happening, and so I would do things to try and feel like I was in control, okay, I can clean the house, and that's my control thing right now. Or I can get the kids in the car and we're going to go drive because I can control where I'm going to go in my car. And it really wasn't ever treating what the issue was. So finally, when Declan, our second, was about 9 months old, I was like, something's not right, something's unbalanced, I don't know what's going on, but this is not how I'm supposed to function, and this is not, this might be normal for society, but this isn't going to be my normal. So I started looking into all of these natural things to try and help my mental stability and my mental health. I started eating a lot healthier, taking supplements that I felt like are still supportive, that I still take them, that I love, and all that. And I got blood work done. My doctor called me and said, oh, your thyroid looks great, there's nothing wrong. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep, eating right and trying to exercise it and see if that makes enough of a difference. And a year later, I was still having moments that were just out of control. I was like, I'm not happy. I'm angry all the time. And I actually, my chiropractor, I go to chiropractic and I love it. He had told me about Brainwave Optimization and how him and his wife had gone through it, and I just kind of oh, that's really interesting, it kind of sat in the back of my mind. And they invited me to go to a talk where Patty Tenney was there, and I got to sit down and kind of look at the science, and I was like, wow, this really resonates with me. You know, I think I kind of pair it up to like what chiropractic does for me. You know, my chiropractor, I love going to the chiropractor because it puts my body in line, and everything works better when everything's in alignment. And so that just really resonated with me because that's how brainwave optimization works. And so I went to my husband. I was like, I think that maybe we could look at this. But at the time, we were in the middle of moving, getting the kids back into school. It was really crazy and busy. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to set it on the back burner, and we'll have a goal to start it, you know, maybe in the summer. And so this summer, I had a couple of weeks where both Derek and I were like, something's got to give. I was angry a lot for reasons that weren't, that like a normal functioning person would be probably annoyed with, but I would blow them way out of proportion. And then once it was blown out of proportion, it was like this overwhelming guilt that I would be like, oh, nothing is wrong in my life. I'm the wrong. And I never got to where I was suicidal or anything like that, but I did have thoughts like, if I just stopped existing, everything would probably be better. So I never wanted to do anything to hurt myself, but I would have those thoughts that are just lies. And so my husband was like, you know what, we need to look into that brain technologies again that you had told me about, you know, a few months ago. Let's just give it a try. Let's pull some money out of our savings. We're just going to do it. And, you know, if that doesn't work, this is going to be our last ditch, you know, natural effort before we look at medication. And so I called Patty up. I got on the schedule. I decided to share my story about depression and anxiety with my friends. And I had a lot of people say, oh, I've been there too. I'm struggling too. And so I am so excited to be on the other end of my first intensive, and to say that I have not felt this good since probably before, you know, I pinpoint my depression really starting after the birth of my second child, but I don't think I felt this good since before I had kids. I am sleeping much better. Before, I would go to sleep at night, and even if my kids slept well, which, I mean, they're almost 4 and 2, and so that is sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But even on nights that they did sleep well, I would wake up, you know, from 8-9 hours of sleep, and I would still be exhausted. I mean, like, I just wanted to go back to bed. I wanted to spend all day in bed because I was so tired. And my brain was just not resting when I was asleep. So my sleep has been dramatically affected. It was very uncommon for me to be able to wake up before 8 o'clock with any kind of anything going on. And now I've had a couple of mornings where I've woken up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I'm like ready to start the day. I don't even need coffee. I'm like, wow, I could just get up right now and do something. I don't have to go back to bed because I feel rested. And then anxiety. I cannot say enough about how much my anxiety has been affected. You know, anxiety, a lot of people think that is just someone being worried and they only see, you know, like panic attacks. But anxiety plays out in a lot of different ways. And for me, it was anger and almost like rage kind of. I would just get so angry to where I would literally go and lock myself in my room so that I could get away from my kids because I needed less stimulus. I felt like I was just angry and just like up in arms. And I really haven't felt like that since I went through my sessions. I've had times where I've gotten upset at my kids because they're 2 and 4, and that just happens because kids will be kids. But my perspective and my the way that I react is just so much more calm and more normal, and that's just been a huge blessing. It was really common for me to call my husband when he was at work multiple times in a week, having a panic attack, because my daughter would have I don't know, been upset that, she spilt her milk. Well, she had a right to be upset about spilling her milk, because that's kind of sad, when you're 4 years old. But then my response was like, oh, why are you so angry? And then I just get worked up, and I would call Derek and I'd say, I can't handle, I don't know what to do. And I haven't had really any of that since I started, and that's just a huge, huge change for me. And so I can't say enough about brainwave optimization. I think everyone that has gone through chronic stress, depression, if you've had a brain injury, anything that it has shown to help with, it is worth a try. Absolutely. I actually, my husband and I have sat down and we've talked about the changes that have happened since I went through my first intensive, and we are looking at doing a second one just to keep that balance going, just because I just feel like if I'm already so much better, and but there's still improvement to be had, like how much better can I feel than right now, when it's the best I've felt in a really long time. So I would encourage anyone who is interested, who it sounds like it might work for you, give it a try. It is so worth it. I can't say enough about it. Just give it a try. It's so great. So thanks so much for listening to my story.